This is true to the game 3, so if you haven't seen our other parts, make sure to click the links in description. But basically, Quadir, a drug kingpin, was supposed to have his happily ever after with Gena. Unfortunately, Quadir was killed by his rival Jarrell. In the second part, Gena's sister Bria had messed with Jarrell's drug shipment with Shug. And because of this, Jarrell thought Gena was the one messing up with his drug shipments, so he seduces her and gets her to fall for him. But she learns the truth, and Jarrell tries to kill Gena. However, it was then revealed that Quadir was alive the whole time, and Quadir kills Jarrell. Let's continue. When Gena regains consciousness, she's shocked to see Quadir alive. She cries because she has been deprived of his D for so long. Quadir explains that after getting shot, he woke up 2 weeks later in a safe house provided by his powerful friend, Carlos. His nurse, Maria, informed him that during surgery, he went into cardiac arrest and was pronounced dead, but he came back to life. Only Maria, Carlos, and Quadir's mother, Viola, knew that he was alive. After months of recovery, Carlos helped Quadir bring Gena to LA under the guise of a writing opportunity, since she's a writer, so they could reunite. Sadly, Jarrell got to her first. Quadir says he took his assumed death as an opportunity to save Gena because people were trying to kill him and the feds wanted to indict him. Gena expresses that she feels betrayed and alone, to which he apologizes. Later, the two do the nasty in a bathtub. In Philadelphia, Aaliyah informs Bria that she shot Salim, the man Dalvin sells coke for, and Dalvin is also a man that Bria used to date. Aaliyah is worried for her own safety, so she asks to stay with Bria, but Bria declines because her grandma, Gah Git, is unaware that Bria sells baby powder. Meanwhile, Salim has survived. Salim instructs Dalvin to follow Bria because she'll eventually lead them to Gena and warns him not to mess up again. Because of this, Dalvin tries to win Bria back, apologizing and telling her that he thinks he was drugged at the club, but Bria doesn't entertain him because his D just wasn't that good. Detective Joe, who has convinced Titus to throw Jarrell under the bus, pulls over Salim to ask him about Jarrell. Later, Salim informs Titus about this, so Titus accuses a member named Tracy of being the rat to save himself. Titus then later reprimands Joe for almost exposing him. Jarrell's brother, Terrell, gets released from prison, and he wonders why he hasn't heard from Jarrell because he knew when he'd get out. Terrell meets with his friend Fly, who provides him with a gun, then hunts down snitches. Fly does not look Fly whatsoever. Elsewhere, Titus and Dalvin watch Salim torture Tracy, who denies ratting them out. Salim instructs Dalvin to take over, but when Dalvin hesitates, Titus takes over and silences Tracy for good. The next morning, Salim warns Dalvin never to disobey him again and threatens him to get Bria as soon as possible. So Dalvin goes over with a box of Twizzlers, which is Bria's biggest weakness. Dalvin apologizes, but a call from Shug interrupts them, and Shug is furious that Bria folded over a box of Twizzlers. Then Shug calls Aaliyah to ask her to make sure that Bria isn't with Dalvin. While Aaliyah is warning Bria that Dalvin might be setting her up, Detective Joe and Detective Mike arrive at Gah Git's apartment. They inform Gah Git that Dalvin is a drug dealer and question Bria about the club incident. Bria says that her aunt just helped her with some boyfriend issues and makes them leave. Gah Git asks the girls for the truth, but they feign ignorance about selling donut powder. Dalvin sees Bria running errands and offers her a ride, but she declines for her safety, so he tells her that he's trying to keep her safe because he knows about the hijacking. Bria hops in and is shocked to see a gun. Dalvin tries to take it from her, but the struggle leads to Dalvin getting shot. That's what happens when you a weak ninja. Meanwhile, Terrell tells Titus that he's there to take over the drug business while his brother Jarrell is off-grid. However, Salim informs Terrell about the shipment hijacking, Jarrell finding Gena in California, and says that Jarrell is nowhere to be found. Sensing something isn't right, Terrell decides to ask Fly for help. While Dalvin is in surgery, a frantic Bria calls Gena, who then decides to fly home the next day. Gena then informs Quadir, who, despite the danger, decides to follow her if he doesn't hear from her in 72 hours. Shortly after, Bria informs Shug and Aaliyah about how she popped Dalvin.
You can't be saying that to Al. Watch your surroundings. Do me a favor. Stop shooting niggas.
Vivica is so gangsta. Terrell instructs Titus and Salim to pressure Gena's family into talking, assuming that Gena surely told them something. Shortly after they leave, he instructs Fly to keep an eye on them because he doesn't trust them. Titus informs Joe that things are getting dangerous now that Terrell is back, and he needs to get out of Philadelphia. Joe gets pissed because he swears it's connected to the hijacking, but can't name the ones involved. Why Titus look like a dried-up SpongeBob? Salim spots Gah Git walking home alone and asks her about Gena, but she doesn't answer. When she gets home, she informs Shug and Aaliyah about it, but the girls refuse to tell her who Salim really is and simply ask her not to tell Gena about it. Viola reprimands Quadir for reuniting with Gena when he is supposed to be starting fresh, but Quadir says he just couldn't stay away from good pussy. Joe and Mike receive a report from their contact in California that Jarrell was found shot and strangled in Malibu. When Mike informs Joe that Terrell is out, which makes things worse, Joe acts like it's his first time hearing about it. As soon as Gena lands, she goes straight to Dalvin's hospital room, where Bria frantically informs her that she joined Shug in hijacking Gerald's shipment, so now they're after her. Mike arrives and takes Bria in for questioning because she was present when Dalvin got shot. Joe crashes Terrell and Salim's meeting to inform Terrell that Gerald was found dead, washed up on the shores of Malibu. He says he might have some information about how it happened and about the hijacking and threatens to indict them. While Bria maintains her innocence, Gena informs Quadir, who then flies to Philadelphia with Viola. Shug gets taken in for questioning about the hijacking, but she flips them off. Then Terrell and Salim kidnap and torture Aaliyah, demanding to know who killed Jarrell and who stole his money and product. Despite the pain, Aaliyah maintains knowing nothing. Then Bria gets questioned. Bria claims to know nothing and says Gena and Gah Git know nothing too.
And they gonna have a good time with that ass.
You cannot convince me that these men are actual cops. Shortly after, Titus, who's watching Bria through the one-way mirror, says he doesn't recognize Bria nor Shug, pissing off Joe, slapping him. But Joe is forced to let them go. On his way out, Titus sees Gena and tells her that he knows Quadir. When he sees the bag she has brought with her, he assumes it's filled with cash. After saying that they need to talk about her family, they exchange numbers so they can talk privately somewhere else. Meanwhile, Shug, who's getting released with Bria, sees them talking. After Shug leaves Aaliyah a voicemail, asking her where she is and to return her call, Gena reprimands Shug for putting Bria and Gah Git in danger. If something happens to them, it's on her. But Bria is dumb AF. She still decides to go see the dusty Dalvin in the hospital. Elsewhere, Fly informs Terrell that someone who looks exactly like Quadir was seen arriving with Viola and that Titus was seen talking to cops, which exposes him as the rat. She then assures him that she has already instructed her men to keep an eye on both. After killing Aaliyah, Terrell and Salim hunt down Quadir, Gah Git, and Dalvin. Shug frantically heads over to Gah Git's and apologizes for putting her in danger. She begs her to leave with her because she knows that they'll target her to get to her, Bria, and Gena. Gah Git gets furious because she has treated Shug like family and because she got both her granddaughters into all of this. Gah Git used to live that thug life until she left the business years ago. Gah Git refuses to leave, kicks her out, and prays for their safety. Dalvin wakes up and Bria sobs as she apologizes for what happened. Dalvin apologizes for everything and tells her that he can never hurt her because he loves her, and she tells him she loves him too. Salim arrives at Gah Git's and asks her where Bria is. When she refuses to say anything, he kills her with a sledgehammer. Absolutely diabolical. Salim deserves to go to prison again. Gena later breaks down upon seeing the police closing off Gah Git's apartment as a crime scene. Quadir learns about Gah Git's death from the news. Shortly after, Terrell and Fly arrive at Quadir's. Holding Viola at gunpoint, Terrell demands to know where his money is and who killed Gerald and demands that he bring Gena there. Joe and Mike question Gena, but she maintains that she knows nothing because she just got back. After they inform her that Aaliyah's body was found, Mike points out that Jarrell's body was found where Gena was staying. Gena's phone keeps ringing, but she keeps ignoring it. Joe instructs Mike to find Titus and Salim. After Mike leaves, Joe forces Gena to answer her phone, so Terrell gives Gena 30 minutes to come with $2 million. Otherwise, Quadir and Viola will be dead. Gena then relays this message to Joe, whom she leaves with. Meanwhile, Salim arrives at Dalvin's hospital room, but Dalvin and Bria have already left. Sensing something is off, Mike instructs Detective Derek, who has tracked Titus to a warehouse, to get Titus, then secretly tails Joe. After seeing Joe dragging a handcuffed Gena to Quadir's house, Mike calls for backup for a kidnapping in progress. As the cops are closing in at the warehouse, Shug and Titus face each other at gunpoint, resulting in both of their deaths. I'm just glad Titus is dead because his face made me feel really itchy. Mike sneaks into Quadir's house and witnesses Joe giving Terrell the handcuffed Gena, asking for a cut. I knew Joe was off. When Quadir sees Mike, he tries to untie his hands. After Mike reveals himself, Quadir breaks free, so Fly turns to him, prompting Mike to fatally shoot her, and Terrell shoots Mike. Quadir overpowers Terrell and reveals that he killed Jarrell. After Mike expresses his disappointment to Joe about him being a crook because he looked up to him, Joe tries to eliminate him, but Mike beats him to it. Terrell overpowers Quadir and points his gun at his temple, planning to shoot him. Unfortunately for him, Gena grabs Fly's gun and fatally shoots him. 6 months later in Los Angeles, Quadir marries a pregnant Gena. As Gena says, "I do," she recalls Gerald giving her back shots, so the baby could be Gerald's. Salim drives his car to a dark alley, where he makes an exchange with 2 men who give him a bag. After the men leave, Dalvin appears and repeatedly shoots him, and Bria takes over the wheel. Dalvin and Bria then drive away with the bag in Salim's car. I'm glad Gena got her happily ever after. It just sucks Quadir didn't whisk her away, so our girl Gena didn't have to go through all that trauma with Jarrell and Terrell. What did you guys think of this one? And what should we cover next?
Did you guys enjoy that one? Make sure to subscribe and keep watching for more. I won't judge. You can click here or here.